All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. It is Tuesday, July 16th, 3:45 p.m. Oh boy, do we have a lot to discuss and talk about. In about 20 minutes, I'll have our good friend Jason join us on the show, and we'll be doing Technical Tuesday. So if you have any stocks that you're curious about, I know one of the stocks today that everyone wants to know about. We'll get started with them. We will look at the technical analysis and where Jason thinks those stocks might end up going. So, what do we got to talk about? Well, first of all, we'll do some quick Palantir stuff because Palantir's price action I thought was quite phenomenal today, given the downgrade they got. S&P 500 new all-time high. I believe this is the 38th new all-time high on the S&P. Where's the S&P right now? 564.10. At one point, we were at 564.68. Incredible day for the broader market. SoFi, which is really the star of today, 776 up 5.8%. We're going to be talking about SoFi. Bank of America as well, up 5%. Warren Buffett added $2.37 billion to his stake in Bank of America because of that increase today. And then we got Elon Musk news, which is a whole flurry of Elon Musk news. Tesla right here at 256 that actually just broke literally like 5 minutes before we went live. So we got a lot to talk about and a lot to discuss. Let's start off with Palantir. So first off, Palantir price action. The main thing I wanted to figure out today in the context of Palantir was that after we got a downgrade, which was one of the more serious downgrades we've got after a 20% month, would the stock actually reflect the level of, I guess, bearishness in the downgrade, and would the street sell it off? And we got a bit of a sell-off. If we look at what happened throughout the day, we went to 27.47, but that was it, folks. That was your dip. That, like, if you had some chips and you wanted to get more dip after 27.47, that was it. Your chips did not go lower than 27.47. That's where the bleeding stopped. And quite frankly, it stayed there for, really like 5-6 minutes in that range. And then we just bounced all the way back up within the next 7 minutes to 27.94 from 27.47. That was from 10.20 to about 10.26. And then from there, we went down a little bit, and then we made our way up all the way to 28.82 at one point. So 28.82, we were green on a day where we got the downgrade. It looks like in about 13 minutes, we're probably going to close in that 28.50 range, 28.30 range, which is just an exceptional day for Palantir, even though it did not get back to like that $29 range that we were at yesterday. So on a day where we got a downgrade, we still had a pretty good day for Palantir, and I thought that price action was pretty incredible. On top of that, and I'll be talking about that. I'll be talking about this later more in depth in my daily Palantir episode today, but we did get another piece of breaking news. GE Aerospace is now using Palantir. So we kind of had some rumors that GE Aerospace was using Palantir, but their VP David said today, we are proud to announce we're doing a pilot program with Palantir to use AI to do better fleet management, predictive maintenance to really help with the logistics and predictability of our operational fleet. Now that paragraph, that sentence pretty much sounds like what Airbus is doing with Palantir. I'm imagining that Palantir's work with building out Skywise for Airbus basically led them to the R&D, to the resources, to the capabilities of being able to offer the same stuff for GE Aerospace and what they're doing in the USAF jets. So exciting to see that Palantir is having more pilots that they're working on with very high-level companies, but also the price action today, just incredible, given that Palantir really did not take that hard of a dip, even though we got a decent downgrade. Okay, so that's what we got in the context of Palantir. Now, let's talk a little bit about Tesla, and then I want to get into SoFi. When Jason joins, we're going to do some technical analysis on what's going on with SoFi. So Tesla took a dip to 247, came right back to 257 today, 1.74% on the day, which was not bad on Tesla. Now, two things that are happening with Tesla that I think are very interesting. The first thing is that Tesla has filed 4 new trademark applications for 4 pieces of candy. And those pieces of candy are called Cybercharged Gummies, Cyberberry, Mango Bolt, and Dog Mode Chill. This is not a joke. This is what's happening. I made a joke and I said maybe Tesla extended this robotaxi event because they needed to get their candies in order. So that's why they're taking an extra 2 months, because they got to get all the candies in order before they serve them at the robotaxi event. I have no idea what's going on here. I'm imagining, my guess, this is bullish. Yes, I think this is very bullish. I imagine they're doing this for the robotaxi event. Like, I think I think at the event they want to serve really good candy, and that's why they're doing this. Now, Cybercharged gummies sounds like something uniquely you would get in California at a dispensary. So that, and so does Dog Mode Chill. That sounds like something you get at a dispensary. And so does Cyberry, and quite frankly, so does Mango Bolt. So I don't know if Elon's getting into a new business, but 4 new trademark applications for 4 different pieces of candy have been filed by Tesla. Now, the other piece of breaking news, Tesla is moving, or not Tesla, Elon's moving SpaceX's headquarters from California to Texas. He also announced he's doing the same thing with XAI. Now, he did the same thing with Tesla in 2021. They went from California to Starbase in Texas. But it seems like they're doing that now with XHQ going to Austin. He's really upset at dodging gangs of violent drug addicts. The other day, he tweeted that he had to stay in the garage of the XAI headquarters because or the X Twitter headquarters, because they weren't able to get out of. They weren't able to leave because there were gangs on the street doing drugs, and so like it was unsafe for them to leave the headquarters. So XAI is already in Texas. X, which is Twitter, is going to Texas. Tesla is already in Texas, and now SpaceX is going to Texas. So it seems like Austin is going to host pretty much all of Elon's companies, and I think that's personally bullish. It seems like it makes sense. Austin has been very business friendly over the past couple of years. Apple even set up a shop in Austin as well, where they're manufacturing the Mac Pros. So seems like it makes sense, but that is what they are choosing to do. Now, the reason Elon did this is because Gavin Newsom, who's the governor of California, they officially passed a bill which bans schools from making rules requiring a parental notification if a child identifies as a transgender. So if you are 10 years old and you tell your teacher you identify as transgender, that teacher does not have the necessity to actually tell your parents what was happening. For example, if you were a child in school and you were telling your teacher you were having suicidal thoughts, by law, that teacher is required to tell your parents, hey, this is what's happening with the student. We're going to have to look for help, etc. But that's not the same for transitioning your gender. So this is the policy that Elon saw today. And as soon as he saw that, Jason Calacanis said, so the state is the parent in California now. And then Elon said, all right, this is the last straw. We're moving to Texas. So as he says, this is the final straw. So all of his companies will be in Texas, and we'll see what happens from there. But he is officially moving out of California. Now, that was the Tesla news. We'll talk more about Tesla TA when Jason comes on the show. The big mover today, obviously, is SoFi at 776. Wow, S&P might end up closing at 565. We got 7 minutes. That would be pretty damn incredible if the S&P closes there. Also, Robinhood. I'll talk more about that. We'll do TA on Robinhood, but 24.52. Incredible day for Robinhood. And then S&P, wow, 5 cents away, 3 cents away, 1 cent away. Do we get 565? 565 would be pretty incredible. So SoFi right here, 776. Why is SoFi up? I think there's a couple of reasons. Number one, Bank of America is up and the banks did great. We looked at bank earnings this morning. Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citigroup. Only Wells Fargo and PNC had earnings that wasn't as good. The majority of the banks have done pretty well. SoFi is a bank, so SoFi getting the upswing with banks going up because all financials are performing. On top of that, it looks like a rate cut is coming. I mean, some people were thinking 850 maybe after earnings. Given what's happening with SoFi, I mean, it's 25 cents away from $8. There is resistance at $8, but if it can make it through that $8 range before earnings, which is 2 weeks away, and they crush on earnings. And what does a crush on earnings to me identify with? Simply 2 things. Number one, give us some updates on Galileo and Technesis, the AWS fintech. Even if you're not super bombastic about it, just tell us something that makes Wall Street think, okay, this is more than a bank. This is a tech platform. It's growing like a tech platform. Maybe we should start valuing it more like a tech platform and give it a higher multiple. If they do anything of that nature, I think the street can somewhat get excited. And number 2, I think Anthony Noto has to have the same energy that he had when they asked him, who do you want to win for president? And he said, I want the Republicans to win. He just didn't give a shit about what anyone thought. I think he needs to have the same energy on that earnings call and just be like, the shorts are stupid. We're a great company. We're growing. We're executing. We're going to do what we have to do. And basically telling the shorts, hey, you should be very scared to short our stock. Now, the third catalyst that can help SoFi, which is another reason I think the streets, or not the street, but at least retail is getting excited here, is that the short float on SoFi is 18%. There's basically 190 million shares, and guidance. Guidance is important as well. 190 million shares that are sold short. If Noto crushes If the stock reflects that, AWS of fintech becomes more important. The guidance increases. They come in line with expectations, if not beat their guidance. The shorts are going to have to ask themselves a question if we run to like $9. Hey, do we believe in this run, or do we triple down on our SoFi short, even if SoFi had a triple beat? And so I think that is going to be the pivotal moment in the trajectory of SoFi this year. It's going to be after Q2 earnings, maybe a week or two after. If they have an amazing quarter and they rush up to $9, it's going to easily come back down if the shorts just say, all right, this is stupid, it's overvalued, it should be valued as bank, blah, blah, blah. Or the shorts are going to be like, we kind of got this wrong, let's get out of it. And that short squeeze of 190 million shares that are going to have to be covered, that could create a catalyst for SoFi potentially to get back into that $10 range. SoFi did touch 11.45 back in July of 2023. We'll see if that is possible again, but earnings is really going to determine what happens in the context of SoFi. So we'll see how that one plays out. SoFi right here, 774. Palantir going green into the close. Amazing stuff. Again, in the morning, the theme of the show was, does Palantir have the ability to maintain its greenliness even though it gets downgraded? And even though it's slightly green, it is pretty incredible. It's maintaining that greenliness, and a downgrade is really not taking it down, which to me just means that at 27.47, there were enough people, whether there were institutions or retail investors, willing to buy that dip. And they ended up buying the dip on Palantir. Matt Money, IWM short puts are up 47% since the 12th of last week. That is a good way to transition me into IWM. IWM 3.44% on the day, levels we have not seen since January of 2022. TNA, the triple leveraged IWM fund that I almost bought options on, but I got too greedy and I didn't get the fills that I wanted, so I didn't end up getting them. Up 10% today, up about 40% in the past week, like 38%. It's just been incredible for small caps. Tom Lee went on CNBC, continued to reiterate his argument yesterday that small caps is where the alpha is, that money's going to be rotating. Now, if small caps are up, you know what's down? NVIDIA. NVIDIA going down 1.6%, small caps going up. You really can't be sorry for NVIDIA shareholders. Like you can't feel bad for them. They're up 150% year to date. The question is, if you just got into NVIDIA, did you get in at not a top, but a local top, given the broadening of this rally? And if this rally broadens out to small caps, then we should probably see a little bit more momentum in what we're getting for small caps. So exciting stuff to see on IWM, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out post Q2 earnings as well. Paper Gains, who's going to be joining us in a little bit. Thank you for becoming a channel member. Really appreciate that. We'll see him join in about 10 minutes, and put any tickers in the chat because we're going to be talking a lot more about a variety of stocks and the TA technical analysis on those stocks. S&P 9 cents away from closing at 565. TFC, great day, 42.53. Robinhood, just incredible day. For those that are wondering why Robinhood is up, it is because Bitcoin is cooperating. Bitcoin, $65,000. Bitcoin fell to 62.5 in the morning when Mt. Gox transferred $2.8 billion worth of Bitcoin back to exchanges, but that really didn't matter. It just wasn't enough to hold it down. So bottomed at 62.5 in the morning, then went up to 64, hit 65 also in the morning, then fell down, hovered at 63 for a couple hours in the morning, now getting back to 65,000. The key thing here about Robinhood is that this 52-week high is primarily rooted off the fact that when Bitcoin goes down, Robinhood falls, but it doesn't fall as dramatically as a Bitcoin miner or as a MicroStrategy. But when Bitcoin goes up, it's only upside for Robinhood because they get a crap ton of crypto trading volumes. They have the best spread outside of options and equities on those crypto trading volumes, and their assets under custody become larger because the value of the ETH and the Bitcoin and the Dogecoin, et cetera, that they hold simply go up. So Bitcoin going up is really good for Robinhood. Bitcoin going down is not that bad for Robinhood, which is why it is a decent Bitcoin proxy or crypto proxy to play going into the end of the year. So that's what we got in the context of Robinhood. We got the market closing in about 20 seconds. Let's see where we close out. Palantir, 28.67, basically flat on the day. SoFi, 7.75. And then here we go. S&P, 5.64. So you got a red candle right there. It tried to do 5.65, and then it got sold off right at the close. And we'll see how it ends up closing now and how it performs in the after hours. Tuesday, July 16th, 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed. All right, let's see what we got going on, and then we'll bring on Jason and start getting into some technical analysis. Robinhood closing 2463. This is Robinhood's first close at these levels since October 2021. Basically, actually a little bit farther than that. Yeah, well, basically that October, November, December timeframe in 2021. So first time we hit those levels. 2481 was the top today. 2463 on the close. Pretty damn incredible for Robinhood. 2457 after hours. TNA closes up 10% on the day. 4908. Tesla closes up 1.55%. 256. The Tesla premiums for the 230 cash secured put. I wrote about that today on Twitter. When Tesla was 249, there were some decent premiums, about 3% you could get in a month or in 3 weeks. But right now they're probably a little bit lower. But the cash secured puts, when it was down this morning, had some better premiums if you were okay buying Tesla at 220, 230 after earnings. SoFi closes the day 5.73%. At one point, it got to 782. Absolutely incredible price action for SoFi. And again, if they have a good earnings, rate cuts come down, and maybe SoFi really does start to see more momentum. Carnival Cruise. We know Chris is big into this one. We talked about the cruise lines last week as well on when we were doing TA. 1918 on that one. That's up 4.67%. And then Royal Caribbean, that one up 2.64% on the day as well. So the cruise lines did well today. Let's look at big tech and how they did. Nvidia went down. Tesla went up. Amazon up slightly. Google down about 1.43. Meta down 1.28. Apple up slightly. And then Microsoft down. We might be starting to see the transition from large caps to small caps. Now, I'm hesitant to say that because I think if these companies crush on Q2 earnings, they're going to get more momentum. But if they crush, but they don't really crush, they show some results, but they don't really show some results, I would imagine people feel comfortable selling off a little bit of their large caps and transitioning into small caps. So we'll see how that plays out, especially if we end up getting that rate cut. But that's what we got there. Bitcoin stocks. So Bitcoin right here around 65,000. The crypto stocks today, CleanSpark up 8% after being up 18% yesterday. Coinbase up 3%. Ethereum right here at 3,400. Marathon up 8%. Riot up 10%. Hut up 5%. Iren up 2%. MicroStrategy up another 3% after being up basically 15% yesterday, 1664. And then Bitfarms right here up 7.22% on the day, which is not bad. Not bad at all. Do we have any earnings after hours? Let me see. I think we might have one or two today. Oh, we do. We have IBKR and Air Test Systems, Omnicon, and then Fulton Financial. So speaking of IBKR, we have their results. I'll pull those up in a bit. Let me search them up real quick. But Schwab also had results today, and I mean, the stock didn't perform the best. I don't think the results were that bad, but Schwab was okay. Never mind. It's down 10%. So I truthfully, I didn't take that big of a look at Schwab. I looked at it a little bit in the morning, but then I got busy. So we'll go into Schwab's results tomorrow, and we'll talk about that on the market open. They added a decent number of deposits and assets, but overall growth slowed down. Now, I don't think it's only because of Robinhood. Obviously, Robinhood took a little bit of their momentum, but at the end of the day, Robinhood is so small compared. I mean, Schwab has 9.4 trillion in assets. Robinhood has a little bit over 130 billion. So they're really not comparable, but the growth did slow down, and it seems like investors were not happy about that. IBKR, which is another brokerage, their earnings are not out yet. We'll take a look at them later, but they are basically flat after hours right now on the day. UNH had a good day. UNH right here up 6.48% on the day. Bank of America, all of them had really good earnings in the morning, which was not bad. Okay. Let's get into TA, baby. We're going to bring on Jason. We're going to get through a bunch of stocks. Put your tickers in the chat, especially if we haven't done the ticker before. I would love to look at some new tickers as well that people are interested in. And let's see what we got going on in the world of technical analysis. Jason.
Yo, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing?
Oh, we're live. What a day, dude. What a day.
It was a fun day.
Palantir gave no F's about a downgrade today. None whatsoever. That was wild. So yeah. Congrats, man, by the way.
I and I had a feeling in the morning because they were down 2%. I was like, all right, 2% is not that crazy.
It was a close one, man. But you know what I gotta say? It's like, I don't know if you guys have talked about this, but when we do our weekly kind of like trade plan. So every Monday we go through and do like the I come from the corporate world, and every Monday we kind of go through and do basically like the all hands meeting and be like, what was important last week? What do we have to look forward to this week, and all of our trades and things like that, catalysts on deck. But it's like the great rotation. And it was really like the discussion of, is this broadening or is this rotation? And they're two kind of different things. Right. And today I'm starting to see, okay, I feel like this is pretty clearly rotation. Broadening's different, right? Broadening's like everything melt up. And a lot of cash on the sidelines. This is where the seasonality gets pretty choppy. Just to be fair, a couple times 2 weeks ago, I think we said like it was the greatest 15 days of the market. Well, that's over now. So it gets a little tougher from here, from a seasonal perspective. But this IWM move,
I think let's start off with that. So we'll talk on Palantir. We'll do SoFi right after IWM, but I think we should start with IWM. Let's pull that up. I want to explore this thesis around the great rotation with you. I am not convinced that rotation is happening, but that's
why it's going to happen.
But okay, so there you go. But I'm not convinced from a macroeconomic and a fundamental perspective. But you, I think, are a little bit more convinced from a technical perspective. And so I would love to kind of see, maybe, is there anything in the technicals on IWM showing you it's starting to happen?
Sure. So from a technical perspective, so IWM, I think you have to break it down into really like 3 components. The ETF, if you're just strictly going to look at what's the word I'm trying to, IW, is it O? No, IWF. Yeah.
IWM.
Okay.
IWM.
So strictly 3 components of IWM from a technical perspective. I would break it down like this. IWF is the Russell 1000 growth ETF. That's different. So IWF, Russell 1000 growth. KRE is about 30% of IWM.
Correct.
And then XBI, biotechs, is about 20% of IWM.
Okay, so that I didn't know. I didn't know XBI was 20% of IWM.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So take those 3 components and you have 100%, right? And so of those 3, what's been lagging, right? It's definitively been KRE, and it's been all IWF. If you pull that chart up, that's doing its job, right? The growth stock, the growth part of IWM. By the way, we just had a pretty big like reconstruction of the IWM ETF, like a rebalance.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of new components of that now. So that said, inside of that ETF, we know that KRE definitively has been lagging. We know definitively the XBI has been lagging. Yep. So you have to look at those 2 components separate and independently, and then you'll know if these 2 components start to catch a bid, meaning like they start to go up. Well, the growth component of IWM is already doing its job. If these 2 components that have been holding this ETF down do well, then the whole thing's going to rally, and it's going to be making new highs, not retesting. It's going to be making new highs along with everything else.
Okay, so this is really interesting. To summarize what you're saying, I've never thought of it like this. So I knew KRE was part of IWM. I didn't know IWF and XBI are. So your argument is IWF, what's on the screen right now, small cap growth has done great.
Yeah.
Small cap biotech only up 12% year to date. S&P is outperforming. And then KRE, regional banks, this one I know, is only up 7% year to date. So you're saying if XBI and KRE, which make up about 50% of IWM, if they start taking off, then you've got the entire index that has momentum to take off.
Bingo. And what's the one thing that's holding these 2 components down?
Rate cuts.
There you go. Right. And so what got priced
Tom Lee is a genius, dude.
There it is. Right. There it is. So there's your fundamental case. The technicals are telling you this is happening right now. This is a Tesla moment for IWM. So what I mean by that is when we talked about Tesla last time, we said, hey, 190, it cracks and it goes. And if you were the person that was waiting for the pullback, you never got it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You're not going to get it. It's gone. right? So like you're not going to get a pullback on IWM. That 212 is just not happening, right? It's going and it's in motion. And you know what? The short interest is heavy here because there are a lot of people that still don't believe it. But it's happening, right? So believe it, right? You know, like it's all good. There are many people. Look, I've been holding bags of TNA, like equity, not options, since since last October. I'm so excited right now, like it's crazy.
And you're right, the short interest on IWM is still about 12.6%.
This is the reason why this can still happen, right? Like when we talked about Tesla at 190, we talk about Apple at 170. When there's a good bear case, right? Because we need bears to have a good, healthy market. Like bulls need the bears, like they have to exist. Otherwise we can't. This is how we get these type of power moves. And as long as the bears still exist, these things can still continue to run. Now you go back and you look at these KRE charts and you look at these XBI charts specifically, and you say, okay, you can look at IWM all you want, but go a little bit deeper. Look at KRE, look at XBI. How much room do those have? They got room.
And KRE uniquely fell after the Silicon Valley Bank crisis.
Right. Absolutely. And so this is specific. So then we can kind of peel the onion back a little bit. And I know you mentioned SoFi. We talked about it a couple of times. By the way, if you'd sold those September $6 puts, those are great, right?
Those are great.
I actually opened calls today, right? Like on SoFi, believe it or not. But the situation that we're in now, I think is best. It's the lenders, right? Specifically lenders. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many chart requests I got for Upstart this week. The lenders, KRE, that's the one cohort of stocks that are catching the biggest wave right now. And I think it's important to understand why.
That's because of rate cuts, I imagine.
It is, right? And as long as we're pricing that in, these are all going to have that re-rating type of moment. And that's just what we're looking at right now.
Okay, so I think let's start off with some TA. That was a really good breakdown of IWM. Let's start off with SoFi. Let's start off with that one. I know a lot of people are curious. I want to know the strikes on your calls, why it hit technical levels for you to get those calls. And
so, I mean, so SoFi it wasn't one that I was like, it was just, we had talked about it a couple of times. I saw it breaking today. It was already going. The last time we talked about it, it was really like that $7 level. Like, hey, if it gets back here, then it can get to that $7 strike. I see. Okay, we could talk about air test systems later on. So SoFi, it's over its 50. It's over its 200.
You got to share your screen. You got to share your screen.
Oh, am I? Okay, present. Sorry, share screen. So I think this is the same. This is the same chart that we had SoFi last time, I believe. Yep. So this was kind of like that $6-ish level.
Yeah, it bottomed at 6.15 last week, basically.
Right. And so this is kind of like that prevailing downtrend. Actually, I believe I can take, I'm not going to go pull up my X feed right now. So this red line, this is the 200-day simple moving average. We have a couple of things. So we know, number one, that IWM specifically is running. We know that the biggest strength is in the lenders. SoFi is the definition of like, this is the lenders, right? So who's going to catch the biggest bid? I will have to, like, it's important to also understand that stocks make the biggest moves when they go from like ultra distressed or bad to just okay. And so that, I think, is the moment that we're going to see. That was the moment you saw in Rivian 10 to 18, right? That's always the case, right? When stocks go from bad to just okay, that's just what happens. So everything, we're here. We're actually closed for the first time over SoFi, over its 200-day simple moving average. That's a huge win. I mean, that is a massive win.
What is the 200-day moving average? It's like 730 or something?
Yeah, it's 761 right now. So, and everything here that I'm seeing, so after today's move, after this week's move, rather, I mean, it's not a 1 day thing. This is like a 2 week thing, really, is what we're looking at. So last week, we were looking at this chart and we were saying, hey, look, up to 7, That's what we're looking at if you got there. And then we kind of get that breakout because, you know, this was last week when we were looking at it, and it was this could kind of take you up to that downtrend. But this week after IWM and CPI, you actually got a clean open outside of this old downtrend on, let me take this down, on SoFi, which takes us right into this 200-day simple moving average. And I'm going to get a little bit more granular. So I don't know if you said 8 before. I'm just going to start marking out some levels really quick. And so a couple things are going to shoot out at me. We're going to call these fair value gaps. And what I'm doing is I'm taking the last highs on the chart and I'm going to find the low right before the last high. So if this here 911 is the last high, I want to find the low right before the last high. That's here. And if this is the last high here, 979, the low right before there is actually 979.
Right.
So that said, I'm going to start drilling down a little bit. So number one, what has to happen is that SoFi has to hold this 200-day simple moving average. That's that red line. See if I can make it a little bit thicker here on my chart right here. So this has been kind of like a trouble spot before. What we don't want to see is we don't want to see something like this. Even still, what's good from a technical perspective is that we have earnings coming at the end of the month. So we'll typically see like that pre-earnings move, which is a lot of what we got here. You know, today it was, so for right now, I don't want to go, I'm not like a super SoFi bull or anything, but I know the market situation. My big trade is IWM at the moment. We could talk about that if you want to. But this goes into that cohort. You know, so for SoFi, you know, as long as it's holding the 760, and really like if you draw this across anybody that was accumulating in here, right here, and we can look at this volume profile, it can dip below, but yeah, 760 is going to be critical level here. So all of these people, it can come down a little bit, and this, see these like little wicks. So I'm back to that 30-minute chart that I like to use a lot. Right. And I'm just going to pull like a drawing tool. So we can see like anybody that was selling previously around the 760 level, if they sold and they're still going to be bullish on, and they're going to be bullish on SoFi now, my bet is that they're going to be buyers. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And it's not a big pullback. So if you're the person like looking for a big pullback here, I don't think that's what you want to see. And if you do see a big pullback here, it's probably not good, because this is kind of a fundamental pivot from a rate perspective, right? This is the moment that SoFi investors have been waiting for years.
It's what Noto said on CNBC. He said, we get a rate cut, we'll do well. So
yeah. No, this is the moment that they've been waiting for a very long time. So pullbacks.
What expiration is your strike, and what calls did you buy? So
SoFi, remember we talked about low dollar stocks, very hard to trade options on. I'd rather be equity, or I'd rather sell puts. This, I'm literally just, I saw this breaking here. I literally just got 750 calls for Friday, and I'm just going to roll them. If this goes, then I'm just going to sell those, and then I'll look probably for like $8 in August. But quite frankly, this isn't one that this is not a good stock to trade options on. I would not suggest trading like long-term on. If I pull this up, like I said, if you want to look at stuff, I can talk about the IWM trade. What I would do is I'll go ahead and do this now. I'll look up. Ooh. So I'm looking up at the chain. The first thing I do if I'm really going to be looking at something, there's one strike that jumps out at me. It's screaming at me right now.
Right.
And do you see it? Do you know how to do this?
On SoFi?
So, yes. There's only one.
What expiration?
It's June 2026, $10 call.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So single trader order, 11,000 lot, which means one trader bought 11,000 contracts at $2.10 per contract today.
Really?
Yeah. So $210 per, they bought 11,000 of them. they put a $2.3 million bet. Single trade. One person laid down $2.3 million today at just around the lunch hour, just after the lunch hour.
The contract right now is worth $1.83. So they put in a much above the ask, I would imagine.
Yeah.
To get that done.
So
they were greedy on that one.
So this is how I do it, right? Like if I'm really interested, so what I do is I do one of two ways, right? Either I already know what I want to do and I want to go long dated, and I do that immediately. SoFi right now is actually still in this kind of consolidation range. So because it's not really broken out, I would not really be opposed to this strike.
Well, is that June or January?
That's the furthest expiration that you can go.
I believe that's January because
no, it's June.
Oh no, June. Okay, so that's why it's more
2026. 702 days to expiration.
I was looking at January. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, there were 11,830 of these traded today.
Was that you? Did you do it? Are you the guy?
No. That wasn't me. It wasn't me. But this is clearly a very this is standout. This is screaming. Yeah, June 26th. Yeah.
So after earnings, you would like to see it at least hold above 760, essentially.
Yeah, but in this is one instance where look, we can look at the chart and I can say, hey, look, if you were to take a crazy shot like this, it's 3 years, give or take, that SoFi has been sideways.
That's a good point, dude. It's been in a channel for 3 years.
I can look at options percentile, IV percentile. It's about 50th percentile, give or take. It's not horrible. So what we talked about before, if you're going to take a leap like this.
Literally, if you're going to take a leap, literally. I like that.
Yeah, it's literally a leap. This is the only time and when to do it. It's like this, right? Not after you've made a big move. So this would be like the last days to do this.
If SoFi keeps running, guys, not financial advice. You have to look at it.
But no. I'll always say somebody already did it. Somebody placed a $2.3 million bet.
Yeah. Well, but I agree with you. This is the time when a stock is $5 to $8 in a range, and it has potential, given if it's a good company, to get closer to $20. Yeah. You don't buy the options when it's at $17.
No, you definitely do not. Right. But that's how I would actually do this in this instance. Quite frankly. And I mean, if SoFi goes to 16, it gives you optionality to pay $10 a share with even then your cost would be 12 because you forego the $2 that you pay for it, give or take. That's actually, it's from an optionality perspective, it's your outlay is $2 per share. So you forego $2 per share. But if you think SoFi could get to $15, $18, that's not horrible in the near term. And your net risk. So when we think about risk in terms of trading, you think about risk in terms of net dollars that you're putting into the market, right? So I can either place a bet at $2 for every $200 for every 100 shares, or I can place a bet at $700 or $800 for every 100 shares, right? It's how much money do I want to put in the market at risk at any given time?
Yeah, and the thing is, and then we'll move on to Tesla. We can load that up after this. About SoFi, I know many times people have been used to it running up and then falling back down. The reason this time does feel a bit different is because rate cuts are on the horizon. Banks are moving in the right direction. And Noto himself said those rate cuts really impact our business to the upside. And so if the Fed thinks, or the futures think 100% chance in September, maybe SoFi gets momentum after that rate cut.
Yeah, and to be fair too, the CBOE Fed Watch tool, the markets will overstate, right? They'll continue to run to the upside. They might even price, 4 rate cuts in by the end of December, for all we know, right? They'll overshoot to the upside or downside both ways. You want to look at Tesla. So I told our group, so I know that you've been kind of dabbling the selling calls, selling puts, things like that. I remember having a quick conversation, maybe like a blurb, and I said so when I sell calls, it's the second that I lock in a lower high. That's when you, boom, sell calls. You have a lower low. Once I have a lower low, then I have a lower high, boom. That second, sell calls. We have that moment in Tesla. So at this point, it's not to sell puts, it is to sell calls for me. So the way that this works is that, so here was your last low, call it here. And I'm going to call this BOS. I'm just going to just this blue line. So if this is your low,
and by the way, I want to get your quick thoughts. That low was because of a Bloomberg article. Any thoughts on that article?
The delaying the robotaxi date.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'll take it for its word. But when we talked about it, doesn't change my sentiment at all, but it does change the momentum. And so options pricing is very much about momentum. So for an option trader, I have to have continued momentum definitively, right? So this is the low, this is the high, right? So what we have here, I'm just going to go LL, lower low. So I have this day is a lower, this low is lower than that. This low, we're going to go LH, lower high.
Yeah.
Is lower than that. So this day here is a sell call day. If you miss that, can you sell call? This high is still lower than this. So right now, this is the box right in here that Tesla sits in. So from this high to that low. So to me, Tesla is not going anywhere until it's over daily open and close 271. To me, Tesla is sideways. It is off my list. I'm not looking at it. Does that make
that's fair? So, and earnings is going to be the event.
Earnings are going to be the event. So it's had a big run. Stocks either run and then they rest, running or resting. So it's had a big run. This deserves a big rest. Does it have to be big? No, it's had a big rest. But this day was last week. I think I told our crew sell 270 plus calls for this week, last week. So that would be like selling calls up here in this area, if that makes sense.
Right.
And it was, oops. So I don't want to, so what I don't want to do is I don't want to, it's possible that we get a big pullback. I don't think Tesla has a big pullback personally. I think we had a perfect pullback, to be completely fair, man. I think that pullback that we had instantly at that 230 level was like picture perfect. That was a proper pullback, to be completely honest. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
That was a 230 pullback, right?
Yeah. So we talked about where did we see Tesla going to from a dip perspective, right? So right into this area, right?
Yeah.
Following this kind of level. So I think I hope that holds, but just because that I hope that holds doesn't mean that stock is ready to go up. Does that make sense?
Right.
So two very different things, right? Stock could be done going down, but it doesn't have to go up, right? So maybe if you're going to sell puts, I would probably look at this kind of level, 230s. And if you want to do what we call like a condor, things like that, I would look at like 270 plus calls and then 230 like or lower puts. I would not necessarily go to earnings, maybe like a week out. If you actually take this trade, what I will probably end up doing, I might do, is when we do trades for earnings, we do trade options through earnings. We do what's called calendars. It might be a little bit more advanced, but we sell short dated premiums and we buy long dated premiums where we can't, unlike a credit spread where you can actually lose more than you take in. Like we never put ourselves in that position. Does that make sense? So we do calendar spreads quite a bit, or time spreads, whatever you want to call them. But for now, what's true is that if Tesla's over 271, it's likely going higher. So we have a clean level to trade off of on Tesla. And again, it's going to that 300 plus level over 271. Otherwise, I think in this 230 type area becomes like your dip buy type level, but she's due for a good rest. Look, it was great run. I think, in this instance, if you do get a sell-off for earnings, it probably gets bought up anyways, just because that robo-taxi event is still coming. But this sentiment, this situation has not changed. The only thing that has changed is the momentum, right? And so that's fine, right? Momentum can take a break, but the the situation fundamentally has not, and technically has not changed.
Okay. Let's do Palantir. Alan, thank you for the super chat. We'll do IWM right after Palantir, but let's do Palantir first. So this one I'm curious about because it's maintained the 27-28 range.
Yeah. So we talked about this. I was like, how much Palantir did you buy at 27? Did you?
No. All right. No, I haven't bought Palantir since. Well, I bought 2 shares on the stream to like push it. I did this one share thing.
Let's go.
The last big purchase I bought was at 2205 ish.
So this is kind of interesting to me, right? So this is the last high right here, right? So this is 2750, and like miraculously, it's been holding that like prior high. Right?
You said miraculously, right? Because that's what I feel as well. I feel that as well. I agree.
Is that right? I don't even know if that's right. So high, right? Higher high for sure, right? Like there's no way that this is not an uptrend. So, I mean, sorry, Chris, love you, man, but this is clearly an uptrend.
He added to his short yesterday, by the way.
That's fine. You know, so here's the thing. You are at the double top of death right here. Also true, right? But, you know, what's really important to know is like, just because something gets to your level, it doesn't mean that it's like an auto short. You know what I'm talking about? Like something gets to your level. Like if this is where a bear, so you're a good bull, you want to know where the bears are going to step in. They're going to step in. This spot is 29.29 right there. You know, like where your nightmares from 2021 began. That's where we are, right? If you're over 20, like a close, daily close over $29.29, funny number, 29.29. If you're over 29.29 closing, you know, all those nightmares were just nightmares and they weren't really true, right? And so like that's true. And then the bears are going to start having nightmares because the bears cannot stay bearish at over that level. And so what I would say is you're going to have, it still becomes this very squeezy point. So any bear that's out there, if you get a daily close and open over 29.29, you're going to have that big whoosh up kind of moment for Palantir because you have to cover as a bear. Like you have to cover because you have this huge, like you have major volume gaps that we have to get there. So you're going
and then there would be more price discovery essentially.
Yeah. Well, no, not price discovery because the price has already been discovered. It goes to 36. That's where it goes.
So why do you say it automatically? Why doesn't it discover 31, 32, 33? Why does it just go straight to 36?
Because it's already traded there in the past, right? So it's been up here before. So like you first have this, I guess I could pull this back to see if there was a real session gap. So no, so there was trade here in the past. So it's like, this is your, what we call like a session gap here. And then this is where what we call like liquidity zones, where basically, you know, it was trading up here. There are people that were stuck in here, although this is many moons ago, where it just kind of like opened and it just instantly flushed right up in here. So we have an imbalance of the market that needs to be rebalanced. It's just part of like how the market mechanic type works, like price action. It likes to get sucked right back in here. So I would see this price action getting sucked right back in here very quickly. So 31.77 to this session gap first, right? And then 35 and change, 35.50 right up here, because we'll call like another. This is what we call a value gap, where the market really didn't have a lot of time to trade in this area. And I'm looking like there's not a lot of volume up here and like very low amount of volume.
So I bought my last shares at 22.30. We got a downgrade today to 22. Can you look at that low 20s level and kind of give us any insight technically if you think it's possible?
Like, do you see this though? Like there's some of this is just very...
Yeah, there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
Literally nothing here. So that's what I mean. Like there's trades in and out, but literally here, there's no volume. So like these are liquidity pockets of liquidity that need to be they don't need to be filled, but we call them low volume pockets. $22.
That was the downgrade we got today. And that's where we were stuck at for about a month after the Q1 earnings.
You want to look at
so my question is, if
more
we
recent
do get a
like in here.
Yeah, like if we do get a bad earnings, like where do you think the downside really ends up being from a technical perspective?
So I don't do it that way. So the way I do it is I go over here. This is a free site. And I just go Palantir and I pull up the earnings release dates. And I'll go, okay, so Palantir. Let me just pull up a calculator. Palantir over the last 6. Ooh, dude. Palantir moves a lot. So let me see.
Look at the volatility. Right.
No, I'm not. This is not volatility. What this is the last earnings moves. So Palantir 15. So I'm not going to go up or down. So Palantir moved 15.1% last quarter, 30.8% the quarter before that, 17.2% before that, 5.3 before that, 20.4 before that, 20.1 before that. So, and then that's 6 quarters, a year and a half, divided by 6. So on average, the last year and a half, Palantir has moved 18.8%. So this is how I do it. So if Palantir were to move 18.8%, 16, 18, that is going to put you at $23 to the downside.
Right.
Or $33 to the upside. That is exactly how I do it. And that I think is going to be more efficient than trying to read a chart, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Oops. So it's a different statistic. It's a different way to do it, but I think it's a more accurate way. So it would put you around that 23.
But you think closing above these 27 levels has been really good for the stock, essentially?
Oh yeah. So you're holding this, right? So it's that new kind of last base, right? But it's having a real hard time. 29 is it's a big deal. It's a real big deal. But I still think that this, when does Palantir report next?
August 5th.
Yeah, I mean, you might get a press up to that 31 ahead of that. So it might be right now. Actually, you might start getting this pre-earnings move right now. So 2 to 3 weeks before the actual earnings date, that's usually when you see that first push higher, like we're seeing kind of on Robinhood right now.
Right. Okay, let's do IWM, and then we got a bunch of other.
So IWM was a huge move. So similarly to, how do I say this? You're gonna laugh at me. Okay. I don't know. You might not laugh at me.
What are you gonna say? Let's see.
So my IWM calls are for June of 2025, 285 strike.
That's not laughable. No, I think that's reasonable. Okay. I don't think that's crazy.
I also have 2026 January.
I was about to buy the $50 strikes on TNA, which is almost the same as.
Oh, dude, you will be in the money. I don't know. I would love to say you're in the money. So I will just take this last move from IWM, and we're gonna duplicate it right here. Right. I think that ideally that puts you right around 294. Ideally. So
Tom right said 300. He said 300.
This is one way to do it. That's one way to do it right there. Another way to do it. Let me see if I've done it already. I probably have this somewhere. Might not be on this chart. Anyways,
I mean, if we were to get 3 cuts, not even 2 cuts this time, I mean, Goldman Sachs even said a July cut is on the table now. I mean, they were not saying that,
Another way to do it is to take this last consolidation here, right? If we do these fibs again, right? And you have these extensions. So this extension of this last consolidation, because this is definitively that consolidation, right? Here, right? That takes us also, this takes us, so 1x that box here. If I were to duplicate that, let's say from this, it's really from here, it takes you to 250. What's true right now is that your from this level, oops, I think you're not really going to get any kind of retracement. So even from here, so again, Tesla moment, I'm just going to do this basic. So this is a normal fib retracement. So a 52-week high to, is this 52-week lows? Call it just about.
Yeah, that 170 range. Yeah.
A normal, like, here's your bear zone. This is that for the bears, right? This is their golden pocket where they would really want to hammer it short, right? And their absolute worst scenario is right in here. We're beyond that, right? So there's no real retracement happening. You have two kind of areas here. So one, we talked about these low volume pockets and into this like volume profile. So this is what we call like a fair value gap here. We have a legitimate, what looks like a legitimate session gap, daily session gap. And we have here another fair value gap. So if you have a daily close over a fair value gap, and I'm going to tell you without looking at the chart, I know that we're really close. This is 23.71. Where are we today? Boom. We're actually closing over this fair value gap. So we should be going to 229, 228 real quick. And if we're closing over that, we should be looking at 237. If not, I mean, I don't see why this doesn't go all the way up here, 241. Fill this top, like tippity top liquidity. And then maybe you get a pullback at that point.
Right.
But to what? 235.
Right.
So this is kind of like the situation, like when you're waiting to either short or like wait for a pullback, by the time that happens, it may be way higher than where you're at now, right? So as long as we're over this, we're going to get sucked up pretty quickly. But yeah, this move has been insane. It's a big move. We do need to look at KRE. This is very different, right? So we talked about KRE just briefly. KRE isn't even close, right? Like this is not.
KRE was at 70 before Silicon Valley.
So here's the thing. KRE, 30% of idea is not even close, you guys. It's not even close to the highs, right? Like we not even kind of close. So this is like the moment where like you're like, wow, okay, we start to go higher on KRE. It's gonna get wild, like real wild on IWM. So,
dude, you know what's so crazy? I knew KRE was part of IWM, but until you said it today on this stream, I forgot KRE is part of IWM.
So now that I'm sharing, so IWO or IWF, sorry, Russell 1000 growth. Look, this is doing great, right? This is a great chart. It's been doing its job. You know, all the arguments about why IWM is just a shit index full of trash cans, that's fine. But so this is the top 1000 growth of IWM. It's been doing its job. XBI, biotech, not been doing its job. This is a weekly scale. It's just starting. This is just.
And you think the catalyst for biotech is rate cuts?
It's rates. It's still rates, right? So one you want to know. So I just opened CRISPR, like ahead of earnings. I just opened CRISPR like short near data calls. I think this one, if you don't know CRISPR, these things can get wild.
Kathy's big on this one.
But so just as an aside, right? Biotech, it's this. I look at KRE and I look at XBI and I'm like, guys, these things haven't even begun. So like, if they really go, I don't want to sound. I probably sound too bullish. I'm going to taper it. Right? But what's important is that you should monitor these two components of IWM specifically to know where the momentum is. These two components are going to tell you whether or not to pump the brakes, exit stage left, or what, right? Because what's true is that the growth portion of IWM has been doing its job. These are the two pieces of IWM that have not been doing their job, and they're just now starting to look like they're gonna go. Whether or not they actually go, TBD, right?
Well, I'm looking right here. I didn't even know IWF honestly was a thing. They've got Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, Meta. So all the big tech companies are in IWF. It's just the small caps in IWM are off balancing the growth from IWF.
Of IWF?
Yeah, because IWF has been doing its thing, but IWM obviously hasn't as well.
This has large cap?
Well, I'm looking at a Yahoo IWF. Yeah, top 10 holdings: Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon.
Maybe it's IWO. Might be IWO.
Yeah, you might be thinking, yeah, because that's what IWO. IWO holdings. Yes, this is the Okay, so this is the actual.
Okay, so yeah, so this is the growth portion of IWO.
This has ELF, SMCI.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Should not have SMCI anymore, right?
Probably that's going to get adjusted, right?
Okay, so IWO, this is rippy. But regardless, it's still those two massive components. It's still KRE and it's XBI. Those are the two components and that's so tied into rates. It's that story, right? So if rates do the deal for those two sectors,
so you would rather own IWM over Nvidia when rates get cut?
So,
because I think that's the question the market's struggling with, right?
I think so. I think we always have this kind of point. Can I share one of my posts?
Yeah.
So like I had a point in my trading journey, right? And I pinned this tweet where I made $1 million in a week. And I remember this, like it was this really hard time, right? Like it was a great time. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't to be boastful or anything like that. But what was important about this moment was that it was all this first 10, 15 days of July. And, what happened was I gave a lot of it back and way more than I needed to. And it was because I stayed after July, market took a big downturn. I gave a lot more than I needed to back. I had this ultra bullish sentiment on the mega caps that were making so much money for me. Right. Like, and I didn't want to give up that stance, right? And it's just like part of what happens is that, and by the way, this was more than $1 million. Like this was like 1.5 million.
This was last year, right? 2023?
No, this is multiple years ago. But like this is, so the lesson is that swallow the pill, right? Just because they brought you to the dance, swallow the pill, get over it. Today is the day for me that look
basically if you go to the club with one girl, try to find another is what you're telling me.
Yeah, you have to.
If that's the advice you're telling me, I'll take it.
Yeah. They're not there. So I'm not like I need to short these mega caps. I'm not like that. They're gonna rebound, right? But what happens is that the market takes a moment, and I remember thinking this is like, why is the market using these great companies like their own personal freaking ATMs to buy these shitcoins? And it didn't work for me, but it's what happened, right? And it's kind of like that moment where like, look, get over it, right? Like it's just what happened. These guys are going to recover. They're great companies, right? If you're excited about Amazon, look, it's going to bounce, right? But Bezos is a freaking brick wall at 200. Get over it, right? Like that's what's going to happen. It's going to go back up, but it's not going to go back up today or this week, right? Like just don't try to push that short-term bet, I think is my point, right? And so like that's what gets you in trouble. That's what got me in trouble, and it's just one of those moments, surrender to win, right? Like I was long Meta because it was like that perfect channel up, like gotta go. I took a loss. On Meta. I had to surrender to win today. I was like, look, it's not, I was like looking for the broadening. I'm seeing rotation. And look at gold today. Did you know gold made an all-time high?
Up, yeah.
All-time high today, right? All-time. That's a big deal. All-time high. DIA. Did you see Caterpillar today?
No, I didn't.
Look, so like this is crazy. So like it was so down in the dumps, and then all of a sudden you have like a 10, 25. I mean, this is a huge move, just single day. I mean, just
so all of this is showing you there does seem to be the beginnings of a real rotation,
right? I had those Apple January calls for 250s. I don't know if I mentioned, I closed them all. Well, I held one just because I want to track it, but at 1250 2 days ago, because I was like, okay, This is just kind of like the moment where it gets really choppy.
That's so interesting. You were up a lot on those calls. You bought them a while ago. You wanted to hold them out, but within a couple of days, you realize the market's changing on you.
So I kind of had the plan, right? Like, so August, September, we typically get a pretty heavy pullback, right? Like it's just kind of what happens. So September is usually like the dips to buy, big dips to buy. We can still go up from here. I'm not saying that we don't, right? And I'm not saying that any of these, like, I'm not saying that Nvidia's short. I'm not saying that maybe Google's a short. Like, they're shorts for a good time, not a long time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, there's some profit taking going across the board, and there's just clear rotation. I think Amazon, Amazon probably.
Can we do some proper TA? Yeah, let's do Amazon, because a lot of people. Then we'll do Robinhood after Amazon. But yeah.
So Amazon's prior all-time high, I think, is important to note, is 188.65. I think we come in. Okay. Yeah, I think we come in near there and test that, actually.
Well, we beat that. We got to 200.
Again, I think we come in again towards that 188 level before we can continue on. So Prime Day starts today.
Oh, you mean we go down from 193? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So like 188.
No, but we're at 193 right now. So why are you saying we test 188?
Because I think we go lower.
Okay, that's what I said. Yeah.
So like we go a little bit lower. It's the same kind of concept, right? Like we couldn't go higher, so we got to go lower to get more buyers. A little bit, not a lot of it, right? And we have a pretty clean, what I would like. We talked about this one more time, like this fair value. So low volume pocket on this, whatever day this was, the 26th. So this big candle, this is kind of standing out pretty clear. This day, I don't know. Was there news this day? This is 26th.
I think they might have got the Morgan Stanley upgrade that day. That might have
maybe. So that's 187.78 right here. So there's a very look at this, like near no volume. So the market has another low volume pocket right in here, right at that prior all-time high, right around 188. So I think, if you're long, I think stay long. I don't want, this is not a short. This is not a fire sale. This is not anything like that, right? If you're looking to get longer, these are the places where I would be looking to get longer. So I hope that doesn't confuse it. I don't want to scare anyone. Look, these are all great companies. I think Amazon's probably going to destroy earnings, actually, of all the mega caps. I think they're probably really good. But I think that's where you look. So you get to this spot, right? You set your alert and you get a ping when something gets to your level. And then you say, okay, do I see people coming in to start buy, right? Right now, we've just kind of like, if you grab that pre-market high, we kind of tested this right here from this is that day's high. That could be it, right? But today, you couldn't really continue on. Today is not a good look for Amazon right now. It couldn't close towards the highs. So today it made the highs in the early session and it closed towards the lows. It probably needs to come down a little bit more, right? Not a lot of it more, but she's not quite ready, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Google very similar. Oh, go ahead.
Can we do GameStop and then we'll do Robinhood, because it is up 3%.
I mean, dude,
I know you and really... Fucker degened into GameStop, so
it's moving right now.
What is this? I saw someone bought like $3 million of calls for $30. I think I saw that yesterday. Yeah. But is there anything that excites you about this one?
I don't trade these, dude.
Well, I guess your best bud definitely.
Yeah,
definitely trades these.
He knows these are not my jam. Half the time I feel like you have to be in equity because you got to sell like in the pre-market or post-market here. Yeah. These are ultra liquid or illiquid markets. So like here's your spot on GameStop, right? If tomorrow, because today doesn't matter. This thing could be like $50 in the post-market for all I know. Because it's just that illiquid. $60 rather. So they're all gonna, it's the same kind of concept though. It's this low volume pocket. of like all these, if there was actual people in here kind of stuck, right? You just have this daily, and you have to have after hours on. But yeah, so all this.
Yeah, let's go to Robinhood.
Yeah, this is like me trying to chart the VIX right now.
Yeah, no, literally VIX is 100%.
Yeah,
it's hard to chart this one. You're right. It's very hard to do.
Yeah. But anyways.
Okay. So let's do Robinhood, and then we'll get to a couple of these other ones.
Hood. So we talked about Hood. Was it 28s, right? I think that becomes like an earnings thing. We finally made a new high. I can't believe it. This is that last consolidation low. This is my chart from before. So this was like that last little blip in here from my last target, 24s. So from here, we should go to 25.80s is what I have on this one. Just from that prior extension. But this is cool, right? So like we're Robinhood, we're kind of like in this uncharted territory. So we want to take this IPO low, right? First trade low. This is 33.25. Yeah. So we're going way, way back in our time machines. And we can kind of pick a couple lows here. We're going to trade it there. It's relevant. And we have this. So this blip here, I think it becomes relevant. Well, obviously becomes relevant to where we are. So this is a couple days of trade back in 2021, 23 to 20.
Yeah, we haven't seen these levels basically since 2021. No, it's going to close. No. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have the full-blown breakdown. I mean, over 20, we know like you're not going down anymore. But let's pull this across. So here's what this view looks like, right? So this was that prior base. So I think this whole zone now becomes your support area. And look at that. That's beautiful. And so now look at how this is working out. 27.51 emit. That's what I'm looking at. So I'm getting that from this last high and the low right before that, 27.44 near term, putting us right in here. I mean, I had 28. Does it stay up there? Let me see this. I'll take this block from here.
What are you doing when you're dragging this across? What are you trying to figure out?
So these are like spots where there's been a good amount of trade in the past. So from this consolidation, so where Robinhood is consolidated in the past between 29.20 and 26.60 for like a little bit, then I'm gonna see, do we have some confluence right now? Like, are we gonna get in there? So this becomes, to me, the next spot. We're like, okay, if we get up there, this probably gets us to 28 right there, 29. And then this 26.60 after we get there probably becomes the next support level. Right. Does that make sense? Yeah. So let's say we get to earnings and then we bounce up, we get to 29, but we probably don't extend there. Maybe we can see 30, who knows? But then we pull back. So where do we pull back to? I'm going to say probably 26 and change.
Right
now. Right. And then 33.25 from there, next stop.
Okay.
That's like ways down the road, ideally, but yeah, that would be like that trajectory, just like that.
Yes. Can we do Target?
I'm long Target.
Okay, so someone, I think Gail in the chat, wants to see Target. Target's not had as good of a year as Walmart.
So I think we're in the great rotation, right? So if you're going to be rotating, who are you rotating to? It's been the Target / Walmart trade. Target looks great to me. So good on you for looking at Target. So Target is now over all significant simple moving averages. So meaning the blue line is the 50-day, the gray line is the 20-day, the red line is the 200-day. They're all, remember talking about these simple moving averages, they're all very tight, consolidated. As they start to curl up, right, like this, what we want to see is we want to see that range expand. So the 200-day is this red one. This red one's going to be pretty much stable. It is sloping up. That's good. That's what we want to see. As this 20-day goes, this blue is going to be like that. What's going to happen just based on that? That's what it's going to look like. And what's going to happen here is that the distance between these SMAs is going to do what? Expand. And that is ideally, that is the setup, my friend. So she has got a he. I can't see the chat.
I think he.
I can't see the chat. Oh, here it is. He. This is I'm long, baby.
What is the price target you're looking at for target?
Oh, you don't want to know, man.
What, 340 or something like that?
No. So this was another one where it was the situation where remember we talked about like, hey, you know, when a stock is sideways this long, can I take my first shot? Jan 200s.
This year, Jan, or 2 years?
No. 25.
Okay.
Well, this year is so Jan 2025. So like, but they're up decent, not like crazy. Does it? So this is more like premium trading. You can trade short dated, but so in reality, I don't have to get there, right? But the charts are supporting some of this, right? So right now, this is so 157 and change is going to be the big spot right here. I think we get here to 157.90, and I'll probably take a little bit down right into this area. So this is a big deal. Getting to this, oops, sorry. So you got to look, this is our last like big high. If I'm going to be a good bull, I got to know where the bears are waiting for me, right? And they're definitely waiting for me right here. And I'm going to pull one little order block, 156. So it's this. It's not the high. I'm zooming in. It's not the absolute high. It's this little blip right below it. So I'll undercut that actual 157 high just slightly. 156. But I think, you know, personally, I think we crack that and we start looking this way. So again, low volume pockets, 160, going to be a big deal. We can trace this over here, 163s.
And really, the reason they took a dip was because the prices
they have a lot of problems. Actually,
the looting, that was an issue, and the prices were too high compared to Walmart and Costco. But if they reduce those prices, that should help.
Yeah, so they had a lot of shrink issues, shrink with gift cards.
Yeah.
So, and I actually had some gift card issues with them for sure. We just had a baby, and like I just had a bunch of gift cards for the baby shower, and like half of them were like bad. Right. And I was like, whoa, crazy. So here's important volume shelf right here, 168s. I think you kind of undercut that just slightly, ideally. So what we're doing is like, this is just this 52-week high, and this is like YOLO, right? This is April's 180s. So Target can make this kind of move actually pretty quick, believe it or not, just on speculation. We have earnings. I think at the time, earnings like volatility was not built in. So we're looking at a bit of and I probably will hold a small portion of this through earnings, not a large portion. But so right now, I'd ideally looking for this kind of area right around this 165 level. But as long as we're holding here, I'm going to look for trims around 160s, just like 156. And then if we can hold over that, somewhere in the high 160s, mid 160s right here.
I think it makes sense. I like Target as a company. I did have an issue with.
I started going to Target after I had my son.
You have the baby, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do. We got like 4 more left. Let's try to get Meta out of the way because that one Meta. I think it's going past 600 after earnings, but maybe I'm wrong.
META.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, so this is where I took a burn. Like I got burnt. Like Meta broke my heart, dude.
It only fell to 495. How did it break your heart?
So I'm in the camp. So just from a trading perspective, I'm not trying to buy a lot of time on this, right? So here's where I was on Meta. I like again from a trading perspective, I needed this, looking for this channel to hold. I'm not, like I said, this is not closing like any equity or anything like that. You're sitting on the 50-day simple moving average. So if it was to like bounce anywhere, it's probably here. I wanted to see the 20-day bounce. So I opened a trade around 510 and I held it a little bit here. I'm like, okay, you got to bounce today. No good, right? No good. So right now, from a trading perspective, not investing, it's different. Right now, what's happening is like, this is not holding this last kind of channel. Can it get back up? Yeah, it can, but it has to get over the 50-day, that blue line right here. The thing is, it's a mega cap. It's of the big mega caps. Like, it's just not the time. It's not the time. I'm with you, but it's not time to take this trade. I think that if you take this trade now, you're in for a world of hurt, as I was taking this trade right now. Like,
hey, but what price did you enter into the trade that burned you?
Like right around here,
Like 530,
511,
and then it fell to what, 490, and that's what invalidated a lot of. How you were thinking of it?
It's just lose fast, right? So what I was looking at, just from a trade investment, no, just keep that, right? This is not a short, right? Like, it's not like dump your investment. So I was looking at this kind of like level here. So if you look at this area, so I was looking for these buyers to step back in right over here at worst case.
Right.
And what I think I saw was that right here, I feel like they started to throw it away. You see that today?
And it's weird. Wolf
Right
initiated research today with like a 620 price target today. So
yeah, I believe it. So so I can draw this level back, right? And so when you zoom in, I see like they stepped in, and this is what kept me in the trade, not investment, different. So from a trader perspective, I've seen them step in. Okay. Step in. Okay. Even here, step in. Okay. And this morning, bounce. Okay. Right. But not reclaiming the downtrend. I'm like, ugh. And then towards the close today, or not even towards the close, right here early today, I'm like, oh, no good. This blue line is the 50-day simple moving average. It's actually closing below that today. So again, one more time, it probably has to go down a little bit lower and retest this lower liquidity, which, look, you can't win them all. It's not a lot lower. So this is a loss for your boy.
Okay, let's do. Well, you've had some good wins this year, so it's Rivian has obviously done very well.
Remember talking about Square? We talked about Square. We said, look, who was ready? Look at.
Wow,
it's a thing of beauty, man. I know a lot of these guys. Yeah, Chris, a lot of like accumulating. I think this is accumulating. Yeah, it was big move. I'm not so sure this is done, dude.
Square.
I was gonna say, right? So Square,
they had a really good earnings last time, but it just
right. So we're at a big moment on Square, big moment. So here we're holding, right? Big moment. This is that breakdown candle. If we can get a close over 73, I mean, we're off and running. We're again overall significant simple moving averages. You have a very large low volume pocket, like in the high 80s, and there was a lot. Let me just check this out. A lot of volume. Very short dated, still there
on Square
on the $80 strikes. Wild.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going aggressive. 36,000 calls to 10,000 puts traded today. Still aggressive.
No, but is that just Square? Is that the broader market? The put to call ratio is massively in favor of calls.
Let's see, SPY.
Oh yeah. Let's look at SPY.
Nope. 3.8 million calls on SPY to 4.1 million puts.
That's as of this today or this week?
Yeah, today. SPX. Nope. 1.2 million calls to 1.7 million puts. SPX. QQQ. Nope. 1.8 million calls to 2.1 million puts. So you have a put call skew for sure. More skewed to the put side on the broader indices.
Yeah,
I think
2024 has been skewed to the calls, but as of today, you're saying it's a little bit more.
Yeah. But at the index level, I think this becomes that stock pickers market. We're looking at the great rotation, man. I think it's a big moment, right? Like it could be, right? It could be Noto's moment. It's definitely Tom Lee's moment. That's what I'll say for sure.
Okay, let's do. We got like 3 more. Can we do Nike? Because I know a lot of people are looking into that.
Can you see this? This is the Celsius flavor.
Honestly, we need to do Celsius too, to be honest.
Cosmic. Oh, it's not focusing. What the hell? Cosmic Vibe. You have to go try that one.
Okay, I'll take your word for it because the rest.
Okay, so I didn't send this. Here's my server. I just want to pull something. So today.
And guys, I'm putting Jason's Twitter in the chat. If you want to check out his Discord, all that stuff, you can follow him on Twitter.
Yeah. Oops. No. So I think you take this trade today, Nike, with the tightest risk reward possible today. This I went long today. The tightest risk reward possible was, so this was that last low here, 71.74. As I was looking at it during trade, so this was that last low, right? Last Wednesday. So we really had a nice push today. We did not make a new high. So I know that I'm kind of I know that I'm pushing it.
Playing with fire a little bit.
Yeah. But I look at this and I'm like, okay, this morning, which it was right here. This is where I went long for a swing. Literally right here. I looked at this situation. I was like, I can put a hard stop right here, 71.67 at this point in this. And this is what you'll see if you were to join the server. Like, this is a simple, I don't think I'll get this tight of what we call a risk to reward. At this point, I can go long Nike, 71.93, risking literally 30 cents or less, because I will close if we get below 71. If we close below 71.67, trade is invalidated. I know at that point we're making a new low. What I have to see is this be a higher low, right? So right now we talked about this. Does the market think Olympics is a thing? Sure. Maybe, we talked about like, where is this going? It's this kind of level over here, 71.40. We had that gap fill. Look at this. We have lines. This lines up, right? I know that there's all of this. We know this is happening. It's possible. I think it's another question of was the juice worth the squeeze? Look at that, dude.
I mean, 71.40. It really is hitting levels it hasn't seen in years, but it's sustaining. It's not making a lower low from those levels.
Well, it is making a lower low. Let's be real. Like, so yesterday was a new low. We're not making what I don't have a higher high. So for this to confirm, I have to get a higher high, right? So here's my little downtrend right now. Tomorrow, if you're going up tomorrow, we're probably going up in a big way, because this becomes like a pretty epic breakout. And so I grabbed August monthly 75 calls. I saw volume. They were buying the 80 calls also. Yeah. I bought the 75 calls at $1. They didn't close up a whole lot. It's what it is. I'm going to look for this. It's not like this is a trade, right? It's not like a real breakout until we're over 77.50s, right? So for now, this really becomes the trade just like this. But that stop is hard, right? And I want to see this downtrend really break in force. And I would actually probably be open to adding in the morning if I see like a little stutter step. So a little stutter step, open green tomorrow, and we see like a little bit of a blip like this.
A little dance to the downside, yeah.
Oops. And we hold. So draw this line, right? So if you draw this line right now, connect your highs. And even we have this little stutter step here. I think that's a long. And you could
Do
probably
you think
add it.
rate cuts makes Nike also attractive, or?
I think it's retail sales today.
Right. And retail, yeah, they were unchanged month over month from May to June, which is good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
actually. I would
but
agree.
it just might mean people aren't spending at Nike, they're spending at other places, right? That's the
Right. I mean, you hear of like everybody's losing, like Burberry getting demolished, LVMH. They're all like it's all China weakness, right? Nike, China weakness. We can look at Starbucks, right? China weakness. But look, I mean, people are buying pumpkin spice lattes or something. I don't know what's going on. This is there. It's very bouncy. It's very bouncy. it's getting there.
Okay, we gotta do PayPal because people are really asking PayPal.
Oh, dude, your boy went long PayPal today too.
You went long PayPal. Wow, that's an announcement.
Okay, so so payment processors are long Square. Can I tell you the other one? I went long Affirm.
Interesting.
I think you need to look at Affirm.
I know a decent amount about Affirm, but they took a nasty hit.
Yeah,
6 months ago.
But remember what we were just talking about, right? It's all the lenders.
Yeah.
It's the lenders. I think you need to look at Affirm, but you want to look at PayPal.
Yes.
Sorry. So
you're squealing like a little girl about PayPal, dude. Oh my god.
So PayPal was the first thing I looked at this morning. It was like, okay, PayPal, go, right? And it was because, so here's this red line, 200-day simple moving average, big level this morning, right here. So your first day right in here, I think PayPal gets to 65 like quickly, like up in this level. I don't know that this actually holds through, but I think this is just part of the like great rotation. They're like maybe dead cat bounces. So in for a good time, not a long time. I just keep that in mind, right? Short for a good time, not a long time. In a lot of these, in for a good time, not a long time.
That means you didn't go long PayPal.
Not long dated.
Not long.
No.
Got it.
So the ones I told you about, like Nike, August. Yeah, I did. I posted something about Pfizer. I went long Pfizer just because, like, long dated Pfizer, just because I'd rather go long dated on some of those calls for something like that. PayPal, like next week, 65s I think are fine, right? They're like these are, look, it's like this. Either you get the move or you don't. And the more time, remember, options are priced based on the probability of something expiring at the money. So the more time that you buy, the more money you have to shell out. And risk is defined by the amount of money that you have exposed in the market. So it's more risk to me to buy more time. And I'm either going to get the move or I'm not. So I don't want to pay up for a lot of time.
Right.
So this is either happening or it's not. So I'd rather take a lower dollar bet and get the same. Because if I buy next week's calls or next year's calls, guess what? They're all going to go up the same dollar amount. It's just whether or not I spent $5 or $50 for that same contract. That's the only question. Does that make sense?
Yes. Let's do two more. Let's do Celsius, because this one people are bottom feeding. Oh, you want to do Affirm? We can do Affirm.
I think you need to do Affirm. Yeah. So I think you need to do Affirm. It's important. So it's the lenders. Affirm's daily close over the 200-day simple moving average. Upstart's rippy, right? I think, if you're going to take the trade, this is one that we're like, today is the day that it actually really started to be like, okay, here we are. Here's your downtrend. First daily close over the 200-day simple moving average. You open over this 200-day simple moving average. You should go quickly to 35, actually, legitimately. So these get really squeezy. Good time, not a long time. But so this is your downtrend. It's, again, one more time, with these simple moving averages very tight, you can get a flip quickly. Just know this red line, 200-day simple moving average, closing over 33.70. You're right here. Boom. So all this chop right here, these guys, this stuff. It's all a big deal. So all these guys that were selling or shorting, rather, they're going to flip on you. Where? Tomorrow morning.
And AFRM, Max Levchin is just an incredible founder. I mean, so fundamentally,
I would rather these guys over Upstart fundamentally. Plus,
yeah, I agree, 100% same.
Plus, this is the Amazon partner, right?
Yes, correct.
So Prime Day
might be, that might be a catalyst. No, you're right.
Anyways, so that's my thing. Oh, we're going to talk Celsius. So Celsius, look, I like Celsius, but let's be real. It's not. I think we talked about this in our group just the other day. So Celsius is up here. We have the revisited Pepsi distribution deal where there was the big quid pro quo. Celsius gave up a lot of some margin points for like hopefully more aggressive distribution in like Europe. I don't think that they're getting a lot of traction. We have some like I don't know, right? And then what we also saw at the same time is like the sales on Celsius is here kind of like went away. Like I started buying Red Bull because like I had to buy 3 Celsius for like 9. I don't know. I need 3 Celsius, but I think those started to come back just recently. I have a feeling we actually might miss revenue on earnings. Just my gut. But here in this area, so this is that low liquidity. I wouldn't put a stop. I think if you're here, look, I'm of this mindset right now. If I like Celsius at 50, I love Celsius at 35. And I'm going to say that's probably, if you get a dump, it's 35. Because this liquidity level, unfortunately, probably will not hold. I hope it holds 47s. But there's, from a daily perspective, there's this like, it's a gap. Let me just take these SMAs off. So there's this gap right here. Something changed. This earnings gap. It's 35.77. I think it holds, but I don't know that it holds here. It has to hold. Basically, it has to hold this 48. And if it doesn't hold in this liquidity zone, then we know it's a quick flush to 36, which might be an earnings event. But for now, it should hold ahead of earnings. But if we get a big earnings fail, it'll probably be to like this 36-ish level,
which I think would be a very attractive price.
I like I said, if I like it at 50, I love it at 35. And if you're an investor, you have to think that way. It's just like if you're buying a stock as an investor, I like Meta at 500. I love it at 450. Excuse me. And if you can't say that, you probably have to rethink your whole
thesis.
Yeah. So
do you are you long Coinbase at all?
I'm deep hood, man.
Okay, that's because Coinbase, the time to go long was at $30 a year ago, and then they
45.
went to 45. But I also didn't go long after it popped.
This is when everybody was like hammering. So I messed up my Coinbase. Everybody was saying, "Oh, they're going bankrupt." I was like, "No way! It's not. They're not going bankrupt." Blah blah blah. I messed it up. This thing is so freaking volatile. You're gonna laugh at me, man. I suck so bad. I bought this. I bought it in decent size at like 45s, maybe 50, whatever this is. And it ran up here, and I put a stop on it or something. Oh no, I was like, I'm not putting a stop on it. That's what it was. And then it just melted. And I was like, I don't know. And I never got back in. I fumbled this one so heavy. But if I was long here, I would still be long. I mean,
this is based on Bitcoin, right?
I mean, like short-term cap, like just sucks.
This one's based on Bitcoin. Bitcoin really needs to make a move higher for this one too.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Look, it's not. I mean, it's not going bankrupt, guys. I don't know what they're talking about, but.
Well, I think it was bankruptcy, and the SEC sued them for the first time in.
That's dumb though. Like it's not. It was never going bankrupt.
Anyways. I was afraid of the lawsuit. I thought that was going to hurt them, but obviously I was wrong on that as well.
Okay, so you're here, right? it's possible that it goes sideways for a very long time, but it's really trying. It's really trying to break out. And it does, you're right. It does trade with crypto quite a bit. I would just say I'm not a big fan of proxy plays for crypto.
Yep.
I've always been of the mindset, like, yeah, if I'm going to trade crypto, I'm going to trade crypto. Like, why mess with something that's not the real deal? I don't like fake stuff. But here's what is important. So say this level I just pulled out. When Coinbase has gotten to here, it can get squeezy. So this pop is notable. And just notice, just notice like where these moves are happening. So this is a big breakdown right here. This is a daily scale. Right. And this is 250-ish, right? So it's possible that you get a big push. This is like to the threes.
I mean, if we are looking at Bitcoin at 100 by the end, I think that's inevitable.
So what I don't understand is why Coinbase's stock price even mimics Bitcoin. I don't understand.
I mean, the thing is, they have the only thing they make are commission fees off of me and you buying Bitcoin or BlackRock buying Bitcoin. So it's really
BlackRock holding Bitcoin, like custody, right?
Yeah, custody. Sorry, custody.
Yeah.
So other than that, there's nothing to the business. They have like a premium subscription, but outside of that.
So let's do this another way too. So this is probably going to work out both ways. Yeah. Okay. So this is, you get this breakout. Here's the consolidation. It's all going to line up to right around that 320, 325. So even if this breaks out, you are looking at a quick move to those 320s, 325s. So I got a couple levels of confluence. Here's your downtrend right now. If she cracks, believe it.
Okay.
It sounds like a lot, but I don't know that it's that much for Coinbase.
Okay, guys, if you are here so far, 2 hours into the stream, really appreciate it.
Are we that? Oh, look at you guys.
We're at 140. We got 20 minutes till 2 hours. So thank you, Jason. I got 2 more left that we have to do. One for June, because she's going to kill me if I don't do this one. But before that, can we do Broadcom? Because they have the split. And you didn't like Broadcom, and I think you've been right. It really has been sideways.
Oh, look at that. They
for
have.
a while. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, this to me feels like Nvidia. If Nvidia is not moving and small caps are moving, this one's definitely not going to take off.
Yeah, but Broadcom's not Nvidia.
It's not Nvidia. That's correct.
Yeah, so Broadcom makes transceivers and things like that. Really, they have their conglomerate type play. Like they bought VMware. Blackwell essentially captures a lot of what that's way down the road. But just very loud jumping out at me are these just 2 major, massive gaps. This is earnings. So when there's an earnings gap like this, it doesn't really matter that much, because you can have different type of gaps. When there's a fundamental change like that, that's okay. But it's going to be this right here, this base right here. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to this unless it's below that 156, because that was an earnings move. So an earnings gap, it doesn't have to be filled. Just that's true. So for now, what we want to do is we want to take this low and then this high here. And actually we're sitting right at that 50% retracement from this low to this high. So you're probably going to be sitting like at a chop level, right? So this is that last break of structure. I think, if you lose this 164. So we talked about fibs just briefly. If you lose that 0.5, 50% retracement, the odds of you going to a 618-ish right in here, extremely high. That's going to put you at 164 for like your dip buys. Maybe even like a quick down here, which would put you a retest of this. But this is not breaking out. This is not going to get away from you.
Yeah.
By any means. You have a high you have a definitive lower high. What you're looking for is a low and a higher low, right? So let's say this, you're looking for a higher low. So this is a lower high. My caps lock is on.
You're so excited. There's a great rotation is happening. So.
Yeah, it's not the right area. It will be, right? So what you have to have is you have to have a higher high. So this is going to be good because what you don't want to have is a higher low and then a lower high again. That would be no good. Like this. That would be no good.
Right.
So again, just because that might be where you want to look for it, what you want to see is you want to see this come down, this, and then right here. So then you want to see a second higher low pop up here, and then you're going to be likely good to go.
So you never want a higher lie, a higher low to get into a lower high. You want a higher low to get into a higher high.
Yeah. So you want to wait for a higher high to appear, and after you've seen a higher high appear, then you want to buy a higher low.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. And where that higher low is going to show up is probably where the last lower high was. Right. So even though from a trading perspective, not investing, this is trading. That's how you know it's going to be ready or not ready, right? Because like I said, if you get this here, it's the probability of locking in a lower high here just to get destroyed.
Right. It's not worth it.
It's there. It's a real. It's like, oh, look at me. You got me. You sniped me. You look so great. And then boom. Like, God.
It's just blue balls. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's really what it is.
Okay, I have one more.
Okay, ATKR. So this is June. You're watching this after your doctor's appointment. She was screaming this in the chat. I don't know what the
ATKR.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck this is, but she's interested in it. So tell us if this thing's going to the moon or not.
ATKR. I knew nothing.
I know, so I can't help you on this. ATKR Inc. What do they do?
I mean, I feel like
manufacturing electrical conduits, cables, pipes.
Okay. I can get with this. So this would probably be an AI play. So do you remember? Do you see Corning?
What? Which one?
Corning.
No.
Somebody tell me. GLW.
Oh, I've heard of this one. Yes.
Look at this.
Yeah.
So this is like that under the, they make Ethernet, ATKR, Ethernet. So maybe she's thinking this.
But where do you see the AI angle? Like
because like it's all the like networking. Like that was Corning was like they make Ethernet.
Got you.
Or fiber. Was it fiber? Fiber probably. But the connectivity like stuff, I'm thinking I don't know this, but I do not know. Maybe that's what she's thinking.
June finds these obscure companies and they end up going up somehow. And
look at so conduit. Yeah, that's what they're making. I just don't know what the use is.
They have a dividend. That's nice.
Okay, well, we don't care about the dividend if we're trading, right? Trash that. We'd rather not see a dividend. Okay, so
it's up 15% in the past 5 days.
I mean, you know, they're only up like 1,000% since inception. So there's that. Right. Here, this is what I would look at. So this is your prevailing uptrend. So I've gone very far, right? But I'm looking 2021. This is your prevailing uptrend. Actually, not a bad look. You have a little breach here, which ends up being a buying opportunity. This looks like a little breach here as well. That may end up being a buying opportunity. So when you have situations like this from a trend line perspective, so first of all, if you start using trend lines, the steeper the trend line, the weaker the trend is. But you can always start looking left, and you'll start to find some of those horizontal type levels where you'll see there, I'm just using this as a historical example where there was kind of like those chop zones, right? Where it's traded sideways, and you'll start to see where will it accumulate one more time, and it'll get back over, and all of a sudden it probably retest. So this is like higher high, higher low, boom, entry, right? On that very short time frame. So we want to see something very similar. So let's look and see if we can find something similar. And it looks like I might have it here. Can I draw this across? Yeah. So there's this whole thing. Let me see. Ooh, you might be good. Does this happen? I think you're good. I think she's good. I think she's in the clear, man.
I don't even know what her average around this is or anything.
Well, so regardless of what it is, it doesn't matter what her average is. It would be more like where it's going, right? So what matters is where the stock's going. So we're gonna call this like a break of structure. Hood 24. Oh, nice. So somebody had some paper hands, probably, or they knew something and they sold right here, right? So see that little daily wick?
Yeah.
Oops. And then this is spot showing up one more time over here. So this, by the way, this is all for naught because, dude, they got earnings on the 30th. Yeah, so none of this matters. What are you doing? This doesn't matter. Technicals does not matter. ATKR.
Yeah.
Because it's got earnings.
Do they have earnings today?
No, but at the end of the month. And they move a lot.
Well, they're up 5% today. Yeah.
That could be a pre-earnings move.
Yeah. Market cap is 5 billion. It's not a small cap, but it's definitely not.
I don't know enough about it to have an opinion on it, to be honest. Like, it would be unfair for me to have an opinion. So it moves 6.5% normally. Technically, this is your area, right? You want to see it holding over that upside move on earnings. It just brings you to the top of that zone. Not a lot. It's not a big earnings mover. Downside. It's a downside move. You don't want to be in this because you're losing that uptrend, that prevailing uptrend.
Right. Okay. June, there you go. ATKR. This is the one that she cares about a lot.
These guys do like that. No.
All right, Jason. Thank you, man.
Air.
ATKR. Yeah, she likes this one too. This one's up a lot.
Did Air report today?
I think they
16th.
reported today.
Yeah, they just reported. Yeah, this looks good. They just made
13%. Yeah.
They got a deal with. They had a deal a long time ago with Tesla. They have a deal with AMD, I believe. This stock gets real squeezy.
Oh, you've seen this stock before. You've experienced it.
Yeah, so we do with Wolf Financial. We do a Monday Space weekly stock picking competition. One of the guys covers this actually pretty well. But Air Technologies, yeah. I mean, it's on X. Just follow. You should come. You should swing by.
Yeah, no. Send me the link.
Everybody picks like 2 stocks a week.
Jason, we just got some breaking news. Donald Trump plans to lower corporate tax rate to just 15. Holy guac and moly. That is, dude, the markets want this man to get elected. And Mark Andreessen just endorsed Donald Trump.
Whoa.
If you guys don't know Mark Andreessen, he is one of the biggest venture capitalists on the planet. Silicon Valley guy. I think he's been a Democrat for the majority of his life.
We're not seeing a whole lot of after hours movement.
I'm looking at Gene. That tax news. Yeah, you're right.
So the one that was most interesting was Vance actually saying he'd be willing to devalue the dollar.
Well, Vance is a very interesting guy. Yeah, I mean,
did you catch that? So that's pushing gold to all-time highs.
That's the reason.
Yeah.
I thought it was like some geopolitical shit people were upset about today.
No, that's a big deal. So gold has been sometimes, gold used to trade like hand in hand with the dollar. So DXY is how you track the dollar from a chart perspective. We call it the Dixie, but DXY, this is the dollar, a basket, right, of the large currencies. This is my view typically, by the way, like when we do our stuff. But yeah, if you devalue the dollar, it's actually pretty bullish across the board, but definitively bullish for gold. And here you are. All-time highs.
Let me show that. There you go. There it is.
Oh,
gold.
sorry.
It's at what, 2,500 right now? 24 something?
Yeah. I mean, this is all-time high. This is not bullish. I mean, not bearish for sure. This, by the way, I mean, we were so long gold. This is better looking chart than Palantir. But yeah, like this is looking, I mean, you know, it should be going over 25, but you know, it's a slow mover, man. I'll just say that. But yeah, all-time highs on gold. That's the dollar. DXY is how you track it. So this is what we're saying, the Dixie, for the dollar pulling down
right
here.
Well, that's big news. I'm trying to find the news source where Trump admitted that 2 accounts are reporting it, but I don't see where the link is. I want to see the article where he actually said that, but yeah. I mean, that is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, the only things I see up right now are industrials barely, but
yes, I'm just seeing no one's covering it. So I'm trying to see where's the article, because that's when it's really going to hit the news headlines.
Yeah.
Because if they're pricing in a Trump win and then they price in 15% corporate, which is 6% down from where it currently is.
Yeah. Oh, can I say something really quick about where we are on the market? I didn't. So when we do our Monday game plan, we do this like average weekly range stuff. But so we had this CPI day. I think, you know, it's going to be really hard for you guys if you're trading out there. We have what's called a broadening formation. It's very tough, right? So you might see moments where we breach the highs just slightly, only to pull back violently. Don't get discouraged. It's just what it is, right? But this is the moment that we're in for SPY. So you have this, like, it could be really dippy later on, but this is kind of like the upper trend. If you see something like breach highs and then come down, we can have that happen. But your dip buys are actually deeper in this area, because this movements like this are actually very typical, believe it or not. It doesn't feel good. It's very typical. So it might feel bad for a little bit, but don't worry, it's totally normal. These are the cues. It says I have a feeling at the end of the week we're probably gonna be looking at the larger indices, probably exactly where we are right now. I don't think. Look, we've had a big move, just like Tesla. Big run is due for a rest.
Yeah,
we're good.
Yeah,
cool.
All right, thank you, Jason. Mark just said, Amit, love when you have Jason on. I get so much out of this. A bunch of people saying the same thing. Jason's Twitter right there, guys. He has a Discord. He has a paid group you can check out. So all of that is on his Twitter links. And
appreciate you guys. Hey, I'm a new member too of the YouTube.
Yeah, you didn't have to do that, dude, but you became a channel.
I know. I was like, I'm excited to see what perks I get. Is it going to be cool?
You get literally nothing. you get to support me.
Let's go.
I
just wanted the cool colors for sure when I type. All right, man.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Adios.
Yep. Bye. All right, guys. Fun stuff. I'm trying to find out this Trump news on the tax cut, dude. I'm not seeing it reported anywhere. There's 2 accounts on Twitter that said it, but they have no link or source. That's a big deal. I think that's important. Michael says, why can't you let Jason look at airlines? Because we looked at like 20 stocks. So when you look at the chapters on this video, you're going to see a lot of stocks. So we can't keep Jason forever. He stayed for 2 hours though. That's very generous. But we'll try to look at airlines next week. So yeah, this Trump tax rate thing is interesting. I don't see where it's coming from. Oh, another big account, I think, just said it. Unusual Whales said, per Bloomberg, Fed should abstain from cutting rates. But wow, Trump just said the Fed shouldn't cut rates. Obviously, he doesn't want the Fed to cut rates, because if they do, the market's going to go a little higher, and then Joe Biden's going to look a lot a lot better. Now, granted, I think even if we get a rate cut, quite frankly, I still think Biden has a tough time winning. If you do the polls today, Trump wins 270 to like 220 or 275 to something like that. But you never know. You get a rate cut, stocks go up, real estate goes high. I mean, a lot of people think, well, why would I want to mess this up by voting for Trump and like creating all of this instability in the markets? So apparently 2 things Trump said today. He doesn't want a rate cut. And he is going to lower corporate tax rate to 15%. Now, 15%, I like that. I don't know how realistic it is. I mean, the corporate tax income already is not that much compared to personal income tax revenue. So I don't know if they would have to win the House and the Senate to get that passed through Congress. There's no way. There's no way that a divided Congress would pass 15% corporate tax rates. That would be very difficult. Remember, the last Trump tax cuts got passed through the through him having the executive branch in the House and the Senate as well. So we'll see how that happens. Yeah, obviously, if Trump wins, he's going to scream for the Fed to cut the first day in office. We're not going to get a November cut. We might get a December cut. I think we're like, as long as things go well, December cut. September is the political one. But I think if J-Powell's truly not being political, they should honestly cut in July, quite frankly. They're not going to do that. But September, if they don't cut in September, it almost as if he wants to not cut from a political perspective versus he wants to cut from a political perspective. September, I think, just makes sense to cut objectively. So I think no matter what, September, we end up getting that cut as long as the inflation keeps coming in lower. Look at the realistic brick wall. The bricks are realistic. At some point, the bricks have to end. That's why you see it kind of crinkled over there, because they end at some point, right? Like bricks don't go on forever. So, the bricks are as real as the current Trump 15% tax proposal. But still, even though there's a little rip right there, sometimes you get so strong, you have to rip the bricks. So just ignore how the bricks kind of look. Trump already got cut on his ear. Oh my God, dude. Did you guys see him yesterday with the like the people were calling it people were calling it a pillow on his ear. It was pretty funny. But he was covering over his ear. He looks like he's ready to go. That the shot didn't take him out, and obviously he's ready to get back into action. So that's what we got on Trump. I'm really trying to figure out if he actually said this 15% tax thing. I can't find any article on it. But if he did, that is a big deal, dude. That is a very big deal. Right now, corporate taxes are the lowest in America that they've ever been. And I think they're throughout the world. I think like the Middle East has some lower rates than us, but the United States has some of the lowest. When you order a pillow on Temu, yeah, that was the caption. That was hilarious. Jordan, thank you for the $5 super chat. Average American won't immediately feel rate cuts. They own equities, real estate. I still think Trump wins, cut or not. Love your content, bro. Keep it up. Thank you for that. And yeah, I agree. There was a bit of analysis done today on why Trump has a good shot of winning, regardless of what happens, just based on the polls. I'm going to see if I can find that video real quick. Yeah, here's a minute 30. Here's 90 seconds on this. So even if we don't get a rate cut, I think it'll be okay. But if market surges, you might not want people voting in a new candidate and maybe messing things up.
But this is our current CNN projection of where we are now. And look at this. If Donald Trump won what we have here, dark red states, solid Republican, light red states, leaning Republican. If he won just those right there, he would already have the path to 270. He would have 272 electoral votes. Look what is different. We have Wisconsin as a toss-up. We have Pennsylvania as a toss-up, 2 critical states for Joe Biden. Michigan right now, another critical state for Biden, leaning Republican. Georgia, a state Biden flipped, leaning Republican. Arizona, a toss-up state. That was a state Biden flipped. Nevada, a state he won, leaning Republican. This is the dire strait for Joe Biden right now on the first night of the Republican convention. Tomorrow is 16 weeks to Election Day. 16 weeks from tomorrow, we count the votes. It is tough to change a map like this in that amount of time. And here's why Democrats are so worried, why so many Democrats are saying, Mr. President, please reconsider and get out of this race. Because right now, Trump is leading here. And Trump is leading here, narrowly, but he's ahead in those states. Trump is leading here. That's 312 electoral votes. Trump is leading in this Nebraska congressional district. Let me change it that way. Nebraska does it by congressional district. That's 313 electoral votes. And Democrats are warning that Trump may not be well ahead. It may still be margin of error. It might be a tie. But right now, Trump is competitive here. That's blue Virginia. That's blue New Hampshire. So the warnings to the White House are Donald Trump could conceivably, if the current dynamics in the race hold, get 330 or more electoral votes. That's what they believe.
So, I mean, rate cut or not, if those poll numbers stay the way they are, then, Trump might be looking at the next president of the United States. Robinhood after hours, it hit 24.75. Right now, 24.67. Where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin, I think it's at what? Just below 65? 64.6. Okay, so it fell. It fell from 65 to 64.6. That's why Robinhood fell, but it's still up after hours, which is nice. 24.63 close on the day. And then there were 57,000 options traded on the GameStop $30 calls for this week. GameStop so 719. GameStop's up another 3.64% after hours as well. A lot of people are thinking it's Kitty who's getting into those $30 options, and that's led to some of the momentum we're seeing. But I guess we'll find out later over the week. Shout out to Futbucker. He says, honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Trump could win NY. I'm doubtful. However, I haven't seen this much support for Trump here ever. I'm actually going to be seeing Futbucker and Chris and Adam Bergman this Thursday. We're going to get dinner in the city. So we'll share some pictures from that. But I agree with you. That South Bronx rally he had in New York, he's not going to win Manhattan. I don't think he's going to win like Brooklyn, but I think there's certain pockets of boroughs in New York City in particular. And then overall, he's got to win Albany and Buffalo, etc. There's a shot that Trump wins New York. Probably not going to happen. I would not bet a single dollar he wins New York or New Jersey. And he doesn't need to. He needs to win, the swing states. But if he flips New York or New Jersey, I mean, that would be a real red wave that I don't think we've seen in a long time. So we'll see if that plays out. Are you going to call him Futbucker in person? 1,000%. I will not call him anything else but Futbucker because why not? That's what we got to do. 24.71 on Robinhood. Palantir after hours, 28.54, still closed above 28.50, which was nice at 28.67. And then the S&P, 564.86 close, which is not bad at all for the S&P 500. Pronounced Albany, not Al Bundy. Dude, I still can't believe I said turquoise. I still can't believe it. I told you I was listening to it the other day. I was like, how the fuck did I not say Turtis? And I said it with confidence too. I said that's the worst thing. When I say it with confidence, I sound like I'm like I know what I'm saying. It's like, no, dude, just like you're wrong here. But turquoise is better than Turtis. It's just better. All right. That's it for me. I got to go to the gym. I haven't been to the gym today. I got to go run and continue to get healthy over the summer. Daily Palantir episode will come out in like an hour, so that'll be uploaded. We talk about Palantir's downgrade today, price action, then a new client we got from GE Aerospace. A lot of people missed that. We'll be talking about that. Yeah, and then outside of that, we'll be back tomorrow for the market open. All right, that's it for me. Thank you everybody for being here. See you guys tomorrow, 8:45 a.m. on the market open. Bye everyone. Have a good one.